got any particular questions that I'd like to ask that would probably generate some thoughts that I can have when I leave here. Well, basically, as I mentioned a moment ago, my approach to all of these changes and stuff like that has to do with the spiritual. It has to do with God. And a lot of folks call it church and religion and all that kind of stuff. But basically, I'm talking about God and spirit. Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned there, it seems like it's an impossible thing perhaps to do when I speak about peace and prosperity and the joy of life and dreams coming true for a group of people who can't seem to agree on anything. And yet that's my approach. That's what I would love to see doing. And I don't want to waste my life doing nothing else. So do you, based upon your understanding, the path that...
Don't put your head in front of
the path that you've traveled, does it seem like this, what I just mentioned, would be a difficult thing to do, a thing that's impossible to do, or what?
I definitely don't think, you mind, Bob? I definitely don't think it is impossible. It's definitely difficult. Definitely. But when you here for the long haul, difficult is just, the first step, And so you in it to win it, or you in it. You dedicated, you committed. Especially if you have an assignment that allows you to walk down that path. So definitely not impossible. Difficult, well, they're gonna always throw obstacles in your way, but you're gonna overcome them with confidence.
I was just asking that question. Maybe I should let this brother make a comment, and maybe he'll answer the question that I'm going to ask.
Well, my background, there is no paradigm that exists in which impossible can fill that space. Impossibility doesn't exist in my vocabulary because the word can't doesn't exist in my vocabulary. But it's just as the esteemed T.S. would say, it will be difficult. Nothing worthwhile will ever be easy.
Okay, well, I think one of the reasons I asked that question is because history, a certain part of it, indicates that this pursuit has been made thousands of years and maybe perhaps never accomplished. So that was basically why I was asking, get a little opinion here about the possibilities of it, because it means so much to me. And out of all the obstacles I ran across, I never thought about quitting. Oh yes, I thought about quitting, but it only lasted for about a few minutes, and then I was back on it. So even as complicated as it has been, a lot of people don't believe in Jesus Christ. That's fine with me. But for those who do, who say, well, they'll tell me often, Jesus couldn't do it, so what make you think you can do what Jesus couldn't do? I count that off, especially people who believe in the God and not Jesus. So I'm sure you both would agree that it's been a complicated matter. So what do you think it do to? Because it's gonna take people, right? Mm-hmm. And how do you get people, just asking a question, to pay more attention to something like specific like this as opposed to what you just get going to church?
Well, let me just go back to something you said about Jesus failed. Now, according to the Bible, Jesus was successful. He came to do what God sent him to do. So how did he fail? For one. So I just want to say that for the record. Now I did want to say this too early when you first mentioned it about how to get to achieve that objective. Like I said, it's going to be difficult, but you got to know how to go into these people's psyche without offending them, or making them stress about something that they've been programmed to deal with. And I believe, and in fact I know, you'd be better off reaching them. Reaching them. And I believe that way is only spiritual, not religion. Only spiritual. Because man gave us religion, but God gave us faith, which is spirituality. And when you tap into that, the spirituality, even the people who are convinced, have been indoctrinated with whatever that is, they still hear you. I think they just need ample time to be in a quiet place and realize it themselves.
Well, you got any comments, brother?
To say Jesus failed, one would be to acknowledge that he never existed. However, the fact that people are still talking about Jesus in the 21st century is evidence that, well, at least the idea of Jesus has definitely succeeded. Now, the interesting thing about Jesus, the Jesus paradox, is that we have to employ a similar way in which we win the hearts and minds of the people. The way that Jesus did in the stories. He would go around winning the hearts and minds because it's an ongoing campaign. It's not something that you do one time and then you just...
So are you saying that an ongoing campaign is like throughout existence from the beginning to the end, this is a campaign, a step, a movement that is constant, that has to be constant?
It
Like
has to be constant because the moment, even scientifically, the moment you stop, that momentum that you once had dies. And so when you're trying to win the hearts and minds, it's about maintaining focus, understanding that what you're trying to do is win the hearts and minds so that you can build a base. If you lose sight of that, you lose momentum. And losing momentum means you stop, and when you stop, that's when you're dead. That's when campaigns die, is when you stop.
Can I ask you a question, Albert?
yes, sir, please.
Do you believe religion hinders or aid in the advancement of the development of people?
I think it depends upon the individual. You know, some people might look at religion as a stepping stone, and some of them might look at it as a drop pit, or what you call the thing, a hole in the wall. Mm-hmm. That ain't the word I wanted to use, but you know what I mean. One going and one isn't. So I really think it depends upon the individual.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sorry, you answered the question. I got another one right quick. I mean, if you don't mind, you're the elder in the room. You got some age over Jody and myself. Through your experience, what do you think the solution is to the dysfunction in our society, spiritually and any other way?
But I think the solution would be for somebody like Trump to make the people mad and make people over the globe mad, and somebody shoot the bomb, and few bombs shoot up, and there'll be a few people left perhaps, and that'll be a start over of the same thing that we have been going through all along. There's a possibility that if at that point in time, when mostly everything is destroyed, there's a possibility that you might be able to work it out. Might be able to. And even then, based upon what I have witnessed throughout my being here, is that even if it worked for a while, it would stop. And maybe it's because it was designed that way. I don't know that for a fact. But I've heard so many people say that things are made positive and negative. For every positive, there's a negative. For every at any point in time, depending upon who is stepping, either end could win and be in control or in charge.
Can I ask this question too? Can you see this chair on the video?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it?
Yeah.
Can you see it even better?
Mm-hmm.
No? Well, won't you come sit in it?
I don't want nobody looking at me, man. I want
Have a seat.
Who is that fool talking? Who is that fool talking?
Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, we have the man behind the camera and in front of the camera. This is Brother Eddie. I've been knowing him for some time. We go back since 90. Is that 90? Yeah, man, come on. That is an awful long time to be knowing somebody. Yeah. And you know what? I actually made a note. You know, I was going over that. I've been knowing you for all that time. And I can only come up with 4 things that I don't like about you, man. That's a long time, man. It should be a whole list.
But a 4 days they cover everything.
No. I admire this brother. I know his plight. I know his energy. I know his heart, and I support him emphatically. There's no doubt about it. So again, this is Brother Eddie Marcus. Y'all gonna be hearing a lot more from him. Believe me, I know. Eddie Marcus. Any more questions, brother? Don't get up, man. You're joining us.
Okay, well, you know, I'm just going to give it a scenario that I was at.
But can we get the short version, though?
Okay, the short version. I was at this church service a week ago, and everybody, it was one of those Pentecostal churches. Everybody was talking about it. Got up and done testimony service. A lot of people believe that's what church is all about, testify, because that's your time.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was testifying, and everybody was talking about how wonderful God is. Woke me up this morning, ladies and gentlemen, you know what I'm talking about.
Put on house shoes.
Yes, sir. And they got me raised up, and opened my eyes up this morning. I got up, all these things. Well, whatever you can think of that was a wonderful thing that you could give credit to Jesus for, God for, this is what they were doing. And it just blew my mind, because that, to me, isn't the problem. Nobody's arguing about what God is doing. I mean, the problem is I see it, and I heard nobody say anything about it.
Like humans are not doing.
But I asked them. I asked them, what, you talk about what God is doing, what aren't we doing? And then then I ended up telling them, we weren't doing a thing. No, well, what do I mean when I say that? Well, we weren't doing a thing. I basically meant that if you look at the condition of our society, we're looking at evidence now, and there's no good me saying we're not doing anything. But if you look at our society and all how it's broken down, even in the church where you got preachers pissed off at each other, preachers because of this or that, it just seems like there's no desire for unity. It seems like, to me, it just seems like everybody want to be the big dog that stand on the right side of Jesus. Stand on the right side of God on the throne. So if you ask me, if the question was, I think it's going to be a very difficult thing. I think it's for, but I believe that it's for a purpose. Now, the next time I talk about this, I'm not going to talk about it today.
Yeah.
I'm going to go into a little bit better.
You caught you off guard.
No, you didn't get me off guard. You just called me, you said, bring it down.
I know, brother.
I'm
I'm just messing with trying to bring out the little humor I do have. You know what I mean? It ain't very much, but it's there. So that's all I was trying to do about.
Okay, so you can say something.
In the big scheme of things,
You not gonna drink that big one?
I am.
Okay, because you know I'll drink it for you.
Oh, I'm gonna drink it.
Okay.
But
You gotta drink with me, though. You ain't taking it with you.
in the grand scheme of things, right? And I was listening to an esteemed colleague of mine earlier, who said that white supremacy was a crumbling house. He said that it was a stage 4 cancer patient with a Chinese man smoking a cigar in the room. And that with crumbling empires like this one, that this is usually the time where those who've been deprived of society are able to reach and grab for power that they've formerly been deprived of. And it makes so much sense. I'm in full agreement with it. I'm in full agreement with that position. Like, there are certain things that do need to happen, and there are certain things that we actually have, enough money in the black community, and enough political resources in the black community that we can accomplish. Because when we're talking about grabbing power, that comes through institutions, right? The reason why you're seeing the things unfold with the church is because, well, the church as a black institution has been completely legitimized. It has. I mean, we look at it honestly. What comes out of the church is a bunch of like prosperity. Just get your money, and then give the church some of that money, and you're gonna be saved in the hereafter. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the truth of the matter is that of all of us who paid any attention to religion or God or the spirituality as we know it here in this country, we go back and forth with this all the time about people who are fake and people who are real, and things seem like it never gets any better. But my whole concern is that since I am on this path, and to be honest and tell you the truth, I've tried a lot of stuff. And if I were gonna be even more factual, nothing I have ever tried has moved anybody one iota closer to what I'm talking about. You know, it seems like it's something for black people, minorities, poor people, people who are getting on boats and inner tubes and water trying to run to a place where somebody will open the door and let them in. And yet even I know if you took that number and say that represented 6 or 7 billion people on the earth, and maybe a half a billion people represented the people who got wealth and power, so to speak. The 7 billion people would have the most difficult time trying to believe that this half a billion people are still not in control. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the kind of thoughts that are on my mind. These are the kind of thoughts I want to bring to the table, and at a different time when we're going to be able to discuss it a little bit clearer, because I will be clearer in the questions that I'm asking. And I want to thank this brother. And T.S. he ran out. He's a coward. You got to go feed his belly. But we'll get him next time. And I want to thank you so very much for just giving me this your time. And until next time, this is bye-bye.
We get that